Phillies keep winning. Another massively dominating effort last night down at the ballpark. We're going to talk Phillies today. We'll continue the Phillies talk all week. Sixers, not much news has changed, but Sixers on the table. And of course, Howie Roseman spoke. He called into Dubya Eye Pee yesterday, spoke to their afternoon crew. So Big Pimpin had a little bit to say. So we're going to bring the Eagles and football back into the conversation after a week off of football. My first power rankings of the 2024 season for the NFL have been released, and I'm going to go over them with you guys as well. Lots happening right here on Trending in the AM. Guys, we're live with your thoughts and opinions in 60 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, hit those like buttons, those share buttons, subscribe, retweet, follow. Wherever you're watching, sorry, I'm still trying to get the show. I'm a little laggy this morning myself. Wherever you are watching the show, make sure you hit those like, share, subscribe buttons. Greatly appreciated. Any way to get as many people interactive and involved with this show that we can. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, every single morning here on Trending in the AM, and I would greatly appreciate it. Anybody shot me, follow, anybody, showed any support to the show, whatever you could do, tell a friend, tell one, tell all, come on in and have their voices heard, because that's what it's all about, having your voices and your opinions heard. That's what we do right here on Trending in the AM every single morning. What's up, Little G? Good morning. Eagles kick Green Bay butts. I thought we were going to have an Eagles schedule release this week. It doesn't look like the schedule is coming out till next week. So we'll have the schedule released tomorrow. What are we talking about today, Philly? We got lots on the agenda. We can talk whatever you want, as we always do, just so you know. Frank Costanza is killing Arthur Spooner in the poll that I'm running from yesterday right now, 70-30. I'm actually surprised it's not a bigger one. But we got lots on the agenda. I'm going to roll. Xander Schauffele, yeah, he could win. I hope you caught yesterday's Fairway to Heaven with Len Ochberg. 3-time DFS Writer of the Year was on with us. Very insightful conversation with him last night on Fairway to Heaven. So there you go. Good morning, Gate. What's up, Eric? How you doing, my man? Good morning, Duck. In the house right from the get-go. Who's the bigger baby face, Cody Rhodes or Jey Uso? Yeet. What the hell is yeet? They both suck. I don't buy Jey Uso, Mitchie Poo, as a main eventer. And Cody Rhodes, he will be a heel before you know. I'm just going to tell you. Yeet. I don't even know what if I don't know what mid means, how am I going to know what yeet means? So on today's agenda to answer Marshawn's conversation, things I plan on discussing. The Phillies, another win last night against one of, if not the best pitcher going in baseball right now. Berrios, 10-1 victory against the Blue Jays down at Citizen Bank Park last night. We're going to continue talking the Phillies. And every time they win, we get closer and closer to feeling like this is for real. Like it really might be for real. This team might be really good. Bryce is coming around. Nick Castellanos getting some hits even. Got his average above the Mendoza line now, I believe. So we're going to talk that. Sixers, There's not a hell of a lot of new stuff to cover on the Sixers. I am going to link a little Sixers and Eagles talk to the conversation, and we are going to talk Eagles because Big Pimpin' Howie Roseman did speak yesterday on Eye Pee yesterday afternoon. And Big Pimpin' didn't have much to say, but again, you can read between the tea leaves and maybe get a little information, not much, but a little bit out of it. Um, so we got lots on the board. One question I had no idea for the wrestling fans out there that was even going to be on my bingo card was Jonathan Papelbon trying to bury the hatchet with Bryce Harper in a comment yesterday. It's like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels making up Harper and Papelbon. We don't know if Harper's accepting the apology or not, but we'll see how that plays out. But we got lots we can go on to. And I've got my first edition of the 2024 Power Rankings post-draft edition for the NFL. We'll put them up on the screen in a little bit. We're going to break down how I view the top 10 teams in the NFL right now that the draft is done. We still got a month, 2 months, 2 months till training camp starts. So that'll be the next one, but that's what we go with. Are we going to see the tribal chief again? Of course we are. We're really going to make a wrestling conversation out of today. Thanks, Mitchie Poo. I appreciate that. Acknowledge me. I am the gatekeeper. I am the tribal chief of the Core 12 and Trending in the AM. I am Mr. Big Pimpin', just so you know. What was their beef? Papelbon and Harper got into it. Back when they both played for the Washington Nationals, there was a dugout brawl between them. I don't know what caused it. I think Harper was just fired up that Papelbon blew a game. So, it started, beefing with young Bryce Harper, and Papelbon, being the psycho that he was, went for Harper's throat. So I just think it was in the heat of the moment thing that snowballed into a big problem. Was at the Phillies game last night. Congratulations. That must have been a good one. Harper hit 3 ball well and all at bat. Yeah, look, the home run. Congrats. I walked upstairs to get my cell phone. And in that 3 seconds, grand slam. I'm like, what the hell? How do I leave the TV for 3 seconds and I miss a Harper grand slam? How does that happen? PSA, it is okay to enjoy the Phillies. I repeat, it is okay to enjoy the Phillies. That's it. Big Al is pulling a drop the mic, walk out on a high note, a la George Costanza. It is okay to enjoy them. It's okay to criticize them. It's okay to be sarcastic about them, but it is okay to enjoy them. 27 and 11 doesn't happen by accident. It is okay to enjoy this Phillies team. And every time something negative happens, say a Trey Turner injury or Alec Boehm getting a night off, somebody steps up. Alec Boehm gets the night off. I didn't like the idea of giving Boehm and JT the same night off, and I criticized it. I made a joke about Boehm, but whatever. People didn't get my sarcasm. I'm fine with that. But it seems like, as always, it's so weird. We are given so many reasons to question Rob Thomson on a daily basis. Yet now for 2.5 years, well, this is his second full season, the half of 2022. So what's he been here? Almost 2 years as the manager of the Phillies now. Even though he makes countless questionable decisions, they just keep winning. Now they're winning a little earlier and a little bit more frequently than before, but, it's okay to have fun. And I love this comment right here because I think it's so true. I want the schedule now. The NFL schedule, I was basing my whole week around Thursday or Friday, spending time talking the schedule, or maybe both days. I don't know. I got Luke Arcani from Fox the Gambler coming on to talk Phillies tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Mitch. But now I don't know what the rest of the week's going to look like after today. I don't know. I really thought we were going to get the schedule. Yeah, Papelbon choked Bryce during the game because Bryce didn't run. So Bryce was the one that caused that. Okay, gotcha. So I thought it was Papelbon blowing a save. I don't remember. It feels like that was a long, long, long time ago. Didn't Papelbon pitch for the Phillies too? He did pitch for the Phillies. He was a huge free agent signing that did not work out. It was after the 2011 season. They gave him a way over the top contract that didn't work out. Plain and simple. One of the most you never pay a closer in baseball big money if you're not ready to win a World Series. The Phillies weren't ready to win a World Series then. You also don't ever give a closer. I forget the length of the contract exactly, but it was a long contract. Um, I just you don't do that. It's bad. Start the cap count. What? The what? The what? Things are looking up. We're doing NFL power rankings here today. Wonder where the Buffalo Bills will be. Big Al, the real Big Pimpin'. Big Al is always Big Pimpin'. Big Al will never be my latex representative. No. I see what you did there. How about Cody Clemens? Look, I said this last year. I made a lot of jokes about Cody Clemens, but realistically speaking, I said it many times. But the jokes aside, he's a solid ball player. If we were the Blue Jays, if we were a 15-20 team, if we were one of those teams that didn't have World Series, not just hopes, but World Series expectations, Cody Clemens could be starting on a lot of those average to below average teams. He's a good enough player to start on a bad team, and he's a good enough player to be a bench piece. Now, I don't know how you send him back down when Trey Turner comes back, but on the flip side, I don't know how you keep him. Cody Clemens is the perfect depth piece as long as he knows his role. That he's a AAA/pro. He's for the Phillies my quadruple A player. I always call it. There's one or two pitchers, one or two players in every organization. They're quadruple A. They're too good for AAA. They're not good enough to be an everyday player on a winning team. That's Cody Clemens. Just so you know. And I have no problem with that. Perfect role. Big night for Cody Clemens, too. Would be nice for Bohm to have a good backup. It'd be nice for Bohm to get that hip. We know that hip's been bothering Alec Bohm for a few games now. He got off he probably would have had a day off sooner, Alec Bohm, but because of the hit streak he had going, before he was 0 for a couple nights ago, they wanted to let that hit streak keep going and whatnot. But to give him a day off, you might see Cody Clemens out there again today. You might see Alec Bohm not start again today. Get him 2 days off, and I believe they're off Thursday, and then get into the weekend. So you might see Alec Bohm get another night off. I wasn't thrilled giving Alec Bohm and JT the same night off and having that lineup last night on paper. It should have been terrible. But again, put up 10 more runs last night. Barrios, their pitcher, was at the time, I think, leading the Major League Baseball in earned run average. Literally one of the best pitchers in baseball. And in 3 2/3 innings, he gave up 8 runs last night. 8 of the 10 runs for the Phillies. You can't be upset there. Whit Merrifield's got a hit streak going now of 8 games. Things are turning. Even Nick Castellanos. Well, now his last out dropped him back below. He was above the Mendoza line. Finally, last night when he got his hit. So things are turning around for this Phillies team. They're already winning, and things are getting better. Even when they're getting worse, i.e., Turner on the IL for 6 weeks, Boom, banged up a little bit. Even when those things are going bad, this team is trending upward. You got to love it. AKA American Sleep Paralysis Monster. What? That went over my head. I don't get that one. I wish I could go May 11th. Everyone in AOP who's going, have fun. May 11th. First sponsor of the day. First promo of the day, we'll call it. We'll call it the first promo of the day. Make sure you guys, if you're in the area or close enough to the area to come out, the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, May 11th, this Saturday. Pre- and post-game live at the restaurant there from the EOP family. 2 free tickets to a Phillies game in June will be given away. We'll be hanging out. A bunch of the team from EOP will be shaking hands and kissing babies, not the other way around. So make sure you come on out. And you know what's funny? I do these ad reads. You can't see my face. I still talk with my hands. And I just made a hand signal. I'm like, nobody can see the hand signal I just made. But make sure you guys come out. The Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard, Drexel Hill, Holiday Inn and Suites, Drexel Brook Event Center, May 11th. Win some free Phillies tickets. I will be there along with a lot of the other team members of the EOP family. So come on out, guys. Thanks for teeing that one up on a silver platter for me, Mitchie. But I appreciate that. Wish I could meet you, Mitchie, but I guess we'll have to wait for the next event. Eagles pretty good. Lots of prime time, and Phil complaining about it. What? We don't know the Philly Eagles schedule yet, so we're not complaining. I'm going to complain a little bit about Howie Roseman in a minute. I got a Howie Roseman theory, thread, um, idea, something that's been formulated. I don't know if it's right or not, but I want to throw it out there to the world, and you guys can either kick it back in my face as I'm an idiot, or maybe, tell me I'm onto something. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. I want to catch up on some of these Phillies, comments. Papa Bond was the DeMarco Murray. That's a great analogy for the non-Super Eagles fans. Papa Bond was like the Eagles bringing in Murray. I like that one, Brett. That is really a really solid comparison there. Bills don't have no wide receivers. Still have Josh Allen. Why did y'all help out the Chiefs? Yeah, exactly. Phil's on pace to win 151 games. Well, it's actually 114 wins if you want to be specific, K1, which is a hell of a lot of wins for our Philadelphia Phillies if they get there, if they could do it. Things are looking damn good right now for our Philadelphia Phillies. Barrios had a 1.43 ERA going into the game, and he's still under. I mean, he gave up 8 runs in less than 4 innings a pitch, and his ERA only went up to like 2.8 or 2.68 or 2.86, something like that, Brett. So he was literally the best pitcher in baseball, and we destroyed him. This offense is humming. The confidence on this Phillies team is amazing. Just spitballing, unload Castellanos, move Harper back to right, and put Clemens at first. Freddie Defo coming in with a tough one here. So first, there's 3 different aspects of this conversation, okay, Freddie? 3 different things to look at. And we're going to look at it in backwards order, starting with Clemens at first, okay? Do you want Cody Clemens being an everyday player? Do you think games like last night, do you think he can be effective playing every day? And I don't know the answer to that. On a winning team, if we were a losing team, if we didn't have expectations of World Series or bust, maybe I'd be okay with Cody Clemens at first base. Experiment. But when you're this Phillies team, you can't have that experiment that, for the whole season. You can't, you could test it out here or there, but you can't. I don't know if I'm ready to make that experiment. And if it doesn't work out, it stops us from getting to the World Series, whatnot. Middle part of this, move Harper back to right field. Do you really want to risk Harper's arm out in right field? Do you? I don't know if I'm willing. I think he's become a solid first baseman with minimal experience. I'm happy not risking his arm. But the biggest question of this is unload Castellanos with his contract. I think there's only his second full year. He signed a 4-year deal, right? So he's still got 2 years left in Philly at a massive contract. You ain't going to be able to unload Castellanos for anything unless you pay a huge chunk of the contract. I don't think any teams would be lining up to trade for Nick Castellanos. None. And I said it before. I've said it since the day we signed him. Nick Castellanos is a good player. He is. But he was never going to live up to the contract that he signed here because realistically speaking, he had 1 or 2 really good seasons, and he's been in baseball for a long time. So I think he kind of overachieved. We gave him a big contract over those overachievements, not looking at his past history, and he's just an okay player. Now, I don't think he's as bad as his batting average says right now, but what we saw last year, 250, 260, that's who he is. So we'll see. But I just think that some of what you said here, I like the idea, I like the thought process, but I don't think the 3 parts are doable if you want to win a World Series. It was a play on American Nightmare given Cody Rhodes and Clemens. I missed that. Sorry. I'm off the wrestling bandwagon. No Howie slander. I got some Howie. I don't want to say slander. I'll use the word concern with Big Pimpin', okay? Phil has to hold his Reynolds wrap while airing his Howie Roseman grievance. Again, not a grievance. Real quick, guys. We are brought to you here by SherryTickets.com. Great moments don't just happen. They happen with you in the crowd. Go to SherryTickets.com. It's an easy-to-use site and has no hidden fees. Those other sites, the huge fees tack on. None. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less, play more. SherryTickets.com and get the tickets you want. Save even more on top of those 0 hidden fees by using promo code 10. That's the EOP10, EOP10 at checkout. Get you 10% off. Make sure you go to SherryTickets.com. And if you need a more personal touch, give them a call, 610-494-5050. Or again, like I said, SherryTickets.com. Make sure if you call them, again, 610-494-5050, let them know you heard about them right here on EOP and Trending in the AM. You know how Phil complained about Thursday games? Yeah, so who doesn't hate? Who doesn't hate those Thursday games? I do. A lot of people hate the Thursday games. Phil stopped the cap. Again, using terms that 43-year-old men just don't use, okay? Hey, I'm getting better. I'm getting more used to all the things that I got to read on the show. Not something I'm used to. Penny signed Phil, man. Did Rashad Penny sign somewhere? Who cares? Rashad Penny had 4 carries last year. Oh, thanks. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I appreciate it. Bet. Yeah, keep using words that 43-year-old men don't know, don't understand the meaning of, or just sound awkward saying. I mean, you can just throw them all in there. Rashad Penny signed with the Panthers? Oh, okay. That's an issue. I've heard some rumors, and we can switch this to some Eagles talk for a little bit. We'll get back to the Phillies later, maybe in the show. We got Luke Arcaney from Fox the Gambler coming on to talk Phillies tomorrow morning, right at the start of the show at 8 a.m. So we can move into a little Philadelphia Eagles talk if you guys want. And bringing up the Panthers name, thank you, Aaron. What's up, my man? Good to see you. It's been a while. But the Panthers thing here, and if that's where Rashad Penny signed, really brings up something that we'll get to the Howie slander or concern in a second. Brings up something that I saw yesterday, floating around rumor mill. If you guys would be interested in bringing back Miles Sanders. Now, the running back room. Before you guys even answer that, let me do a little backstory. So you got Saquon Barkley, obviously. He is your main guy. He is going to be a 3-down back. Kenny Gainwell started smack talking a little bit about the Eagles front office and the connection issue between upstairs and downstairs. Your running back room is Saquon Barkley, Kenny Gainwell, who now, after trash talking the front office, might not be here much longer. And you got rookie Will Shipley, who we drafted in the 5th round or whatever. Okay, 4th round, actually. So they're your 3 running backs. Miles Sanders has fallen out of favor in Panthers land. He might get cut soon. If Kenny Gainwell gets traded or they're unhappy with him, or even if they are happy with him, say Saquon Barkley goes down. Are you ready to turn the keys over of an offense that is going to be dedicated to running the ball to Kenny Gainwell or Will Shipley? Would a very cheap 1-year reunion with Miles Sanders to play that role of the backup depth? Miles Sanders doesn't dress in my scenario here, okay, most games. But if Saquon goes down and misses 2 or 3 weeks, would you rather Miles Sanders filling in for those 2 or 3 weeks, or would you rather Kenny Gainwell or Will Shipley? And I know when I get back to the comments, K1's going to say something, positive about Kenny Gainwell. But Howie Roseman doesn't like it when you criticize him. And Kenny Gainwell, and I quote, the connection issue upstairs and downstairs was not good. Basically calling out the front office a little bit and the coaching staff a little bit. That kind of person on a team that's got a fragile locker room. You got guys stepping up in leadership roles or bigger leadership roles to replace the leaders that have left this Eagles team. And then you got one guy who's been here 3 years, last year of his rookie deal, that's stirring the pot. Kenny Gainwell might be out the door. There's a serious scenario there. So would a Miles Sanders reunion, in that Rashad Penny role from last year, guy that just isn't there. Rashad Penny was just a backup in case DeAndre Swift got hurt for a significant amount of time. Just asking. I don't know. Back to the comments, I bet you there's a K1 comment about Kenny Gainwell. Phillies definitely have the right to be the talk of the town, and they are the talk of the town. We're lining up Phillies guests. We're talking Phillies every day. It feels good. We will get back to the Phillies later in the show because I want to give predictions on today's game. As we face Chris, I think Bassett's the pitcher. Aaron Noles going for the Phillies today. Phil capping dead ass. What? Miles is washed. Of course, K1 is the first one that says that because I'm talking about replacing Kenny Gainwell. I'm not even talking about replacing him. You need 4 running backs. You got 3. One's a rookie. One's not an every down guy. You need a guy that can tote the rubber or tote the ball as much as Saquon is going to be expected to. Saquon is going to have, and Howie has many of times spoken this offseason since the Saquon Barkley signing, that he is going to be a massive part of this offense. I've heard many of people from the Eagles organization talk about Saquon Barkley as a 3-down back and his ability to pass block and catch the ball out of the backfield, run between the tackles, run outside. You saw the video of Jalen Hurts handing off to Saquon Barkley from a practice yesterday. That kind of stuff, I mean, that's great. But what if? If you build your offense around Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, when Miles Sanders goes down, somebody's got to be there to step in. If you're going to have Saquon Barkley touch the ball 20 times a game, 22 times a game, he goes down, Gainwell and Shipley aren't enough. And I'm not saying I like the idea of Miles Sanders. But what I am saying is it's an option out there. Another Miles is washed. Kenny G is the man. Of course he is. Yeah, of course. He got a bag in Carolina, so you can get him. We're talking about Miles Sanders coming back here for a couple bucks. We're not talking about millions. We're not talking about a bag. We're talking about the money that fits in your wallet, not in a bag, okay? We're not talking about backing up the Brinks truck here. The fact that we still don't know who put Matt Patricia as DC shows there was not good communication between the execs and the – absolutely, Brett. So there definitely was a communication issue, Brett. Not denying what Kenny Gainwell said is true. What I'm denying or what I'm saying is that what he said could cause issues, but what he said also could cost him his job here in Philadelphia. Just saying. That's what I'm getting at. Not denying. There were a lot of communication issues all over the organization last year. Hence, the disappointing end and collapse this season. Tote the rubber. It's a baseball term for you non-baseball people. Who won the Thunder game? The Oklahoma City Thunder won last night. See, you don't think I pay attention to other things, but I knew that. I heard you can't have hot dogs day in Philly. Fans throw them on the field. That dollar dog days are gone. It's now a BOGO dog day. Phil, you slay me. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Gainwell can replace the receiving that Barkley does, and a Sanders type will replace some of the running talent. Yeah, exactly. That's fine. And as Big Al says, Miles backed up Barkley in Penn State, so he's played that role of the backup to Saquon Barkley before. I just think that another running back, we'll get in as the offseason continues to carry on, roles or roster spots or whatever. I don't like to make a million 53-man roster predictions, but we can look at where the 53-man roster is now and see where backup roles need to be filled. And I think a fourth running back, whether it's Miles Sanders or someone else, could be needed. You know, I know we've got a couple undrafted free agent and practice squad running backs, and we all fall in love with those guys. The 16th running back on the roster and the 27th wide receiver on the roster. Trey Sermon last year for me. Paul Turner for a lot of Eagles fans. We all fall in love with those guys. But all those guys, they disappear really quickly. And we fall in love. They don't make the Eagles, but nobody else picks them up. It's the Paul Turner syndrome. Miles Sanders, you could bring him in here to camp on a very cheap deal, just like you brought in a bunch of guys last year, you know, that didn't even make – I sat here and said, guys like Greedy Williams last year, we're not going to make the roster. They didn't. When you bring in guys on cheap contracts, non-guaranteed contracts, you cut them. You bring in Miles Sanders, you have him compete with the practice squad guys for that fourth running back spot or third if they trade away Kenny Gainwell, which I called a Kenny Gainwell trade at the end of the season. I did. There's no need for Kenny Gainwell on this team. And it's not a dislike of Kenny Gainwell. You don't need a running back on the last year of their rookie contract. It's a very valuable thing to a team. So you could trade that and get something for Kenny Gainwell. Yeah, Miles did lose his job to Chubba Hubba. But let's not act like Carolina was a good team. Terrible offensive line, horrendous quarterback play. terrible coaching. I mean, it was just a straight tank job in Carolina last year. So, you put Miles behind this offensive line 1 year prior, and he had how many rushing yards? 11 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. Remember how much I was worried about us losing Miles Sanders last year? Just saying. We could pick up a better running back after training camp. That's fine. That's a possibility. And you may be right. And again, this is not a pro Miles Sanders conversation. This is more a pro, we need another running back. Pro, maybe Kenny Gainwell is not the real deal. Miles is, I think that's a trash can. I can't tell. Sanders is 27, I believe. He still has what it takes on the right team. Not exactly. That's what I just said, Jose. I mean, the Panthers stink. Saquon Barkley's 26. Miles Sanders is 27. Something like that. On this team, in the Rashad Penny role, the guy that just never sees the field. Just an insurance policy. That's what you need. Saquon has had injury issues in his career. He has. You have to think about that. And if he goes down, and again, everyone keeps telling, whenever I bring up Miles Sanders' injury issues, like, well, he was running behind that terrible Giants offensive line. We're going to open up these huge holes for him, and he's not going to get hit as hard. Well, the same argument is what happened with Miles Sanders. Great running back behind our offensive line, goes to Carolina. Not so much. So, but you still need a backup plan. You always got to have a backup plan. And I don't know if Howie's got that backup plan right now. Yeah, I'm cool on Miles. I prefer cheap, youthful backs who can block. Yeah. Miles Sanders, there's no doubt about it, has his flaws as a running back. For sure, he's got his flaws as a running back. Guys, real quick, before we get back to this, make sure you guys go to phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel with your favorite team, this is the site to go to. Travel with the pros, phillysportstrips.com. They feature premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever, us Philadelphia sports fans. Self-travel packages, full travel packages, flight trips, bus trips, you name it, they got it. Go to phillysportstrips.com and sign up immediately. Let them know you heard about them on EOP. Let them know you heard about them on Trendy in the AM. Do you want to go to Brazil to see the Eagles face the Packers week 1 of the NFL season? Well, go to phillysportstrips.com. They got a great travel package. If you don't want to do that big extravagant thing, they do bus trips to D.C. to see the Eagles play, trips to the Meadowlands to watch the Eagles play. You name it, they got it. phillysportstrips.com. Go check them out as soon as you can. And and enjoy your team play, man. Chubba hubba hubba hubba. I love his name. I do love his name. Panthers owner went into a restaurant on tape and took guys Eagles hat off flat. You don't even know what that means. Stop. Did Eagles ever upgrade a tight end? Yeah, they got CJ Uzomah. They still got Alberto. They got Grant Calcaterra, and they get Dallas Goedert. CJ, to me, you could bring in competition for the backup center position or the backup running back position, K1. While I like in theory what CJ Uzomah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I might be close. Uzomah. We'll just call him CJU. You could bring in another guy to compete with him. Or maybe have Albert O. Aqua Bowman compete with him for that job because he's another guy. Injured issues, injury problems, and whatnot. So that's that. So no, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like bringing in Dan Arnold again on TMZ. Just, if you call that an upgrade, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it is what it is. And it's a concern because just like Saquon's got the injury history, so does Dallas Goedert. He's missed 5 games multiple times in his career. He's missed, I haven't done the research yet. I haven't added it. I know going into last year it was 13 games. How many games did he miss last year? 4? 5? I think it was 5 weeks, but only 4 games because around the bye that Dallas Goedert. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 17 or 18 games missed over the last 4 years. Last year we relied on Stahl and Alberto. Alberto played 60% of snaps in one of the games that Dallas Goedert missed. He just never got a target. So you do need, and the offense changes a lot when Dallas Goedert's not out there. So an upgraded backup tight end still may be in the cards. We re-signed him. We re-signed him to another contract, another 1-year deal, K1, which to me is kind of odd. Kind of odd that they did because they had him here all last year, and he was never, even when Dallas Goedert was out, they never used him. I think he had like 6 targets the entire season. I think Howie fixed terrible secondary. He did. Now, I want to get into Howie. See, thank you, TMZ. It's not what I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about Howie Roseman here for a second. Do you think the Eagles are beginning a trend of drafting Australian offensive line with they brought in another guy with no football experience whatsoever. Hey, can't hate on a team doing that. Bringing a guy like that. It's cool. It worked out great with Jordan Mailata, so why not give it another shot, Peanut? Why not? Give me your this day in Eagles history. You missed it the other day on the show. A little disappointed. I had to bring it up the next day. You could have told me it was the 30th anniversary of Jeffrey Lurie buying the Eagles in this day in Eagles history, but you missed that. So what's today? What's today? The 8th? Yeah, it's the 8th. May 8th. What's May 8th in Eagles history? Give me something there. Jonathan, what's up, my man? I see Castles being the tight end behind Goddard. Albert O and Calcaterra is spelled correctly are not the answers. So not CJ. Who's Cat? Is he one of the guys we picked up? I think in undrafted free agent. Yeah, I forget his full name, but yeah, there's an open competition for that tight end position for sure. Your show is better than the guys on the radio in the morning. You should do 4 hours. You want me to do 4 hours, mister? Well, I would gladly do 4 hours. I would need to make a hell of a lot more money, or someone would have to buy my pizza shop for that to happen. But remember, we started as a 60-minute show. Then we went to a 75-minute show. Now we've been hanging at the 90 minutes for quite a while, mister. I would need a lot more help and a lot more money and a lot more free time to do 4 hours. But maybe we'll go to 2 hours someday, mister. If the show warrants it, if the time is needed, if you guys want it, maybe someday. Not yet, but maybe someday we will go to 2 hours. 4 hours, I would need help on the show. I would need a producer because I wouldn't be able to sit here for 4 hours without getting up and standing and walking around. I would really need like a 2-minute commercial break every so often to stretch my legs. Makes sense to take advantage of the international roster exemption. Absolutely. All right, I want to read another one of our sponsors, and I'm going to get into Howie Roseman here. So really quickly, guys, we have a sponsor, great one. I know you guys love it. David R. Cherry of the Cherry Law Firm. Check this guy out. If you've been injured at work or in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, affected by criminal law, call David R. Cherry, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for you and get you what you deserve. A dedicated, well-established personal injury law firm built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of Pennsylvania. Again, give him a call, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights to party. Back to the comments and Howie Roseman. Facts. Yes, facts. I'm hoping Howie makes a play for a good linebacker before the season starts. We're going to talk about Howie Roseman's appearance yesterday on Dubya Eye Pee, the dial that Mista says stinks, which they do. But when Howie Roseman speaks, you kind of got to listen. So I listen. It's tough being on the spot. I'm literally in line dropping off my son at school. All right. You miss it. You tell me you're bringing a segment to the show, and then you miss the most important segment or option. David Archerry would support a 4-hour show. David Archerry would have to up his price a little bit on his sponsorship. He can't do 4 hours. He's got 50 pizzas. I did 50 pizzas yesterday. Yes, I did. I got a funny pizza shop story. I got it. Before the show ends, guys, make sure you remind me. I got a funny pizza shop delivery story where I felt as awkward as humanly possible that I want to tell you guys about. I'm even surprised I'm alive right now. I thought I was going to be cursed or something from this story. So I'm going to tease that and save it for later. Calling him now. Go for it. You do that. Yeah. Nobody's. Yeah, dude, guys. You guys are hilarious. All right. So on to Howie Roseman. So Big Pimpin', as Jalix Hunt likes to call him, was on the new afternoon show on the dial, which you should never listen to. You should be tuned in and locked into EOP 7 days a week of programming here. And if you miss something live, you can always catch the replay. Yeah, it is called the Phil's Pizza Shop Chronicles. We're gonna get into the Chronicles later in the show. So a couple things I want to touch on. Certain things he said, which he didn't say much of substance. but he did say certain things I want to touch on. But also, something I want to talk about first. We'll get into the rest of what he said in a minute. But 2 days ago, Daryl Morey spoke. And while he's an arrogant prig and I don't trust him to rebuild this team, he gave us some substance. He's like, hey, I think these 4 people are going to be back with our organization. I've got Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul Reed, Ricky Council. They'll be back. Answer that. I'm going star hunting. I want a star wing that's going to be elite in the playoffs. He gave us tangible answers and questions. Howie Roseman did not do that. Very, very little, in substance. We'll get into 2 things. But something, and I might be totally overreacting, totally reading too much into this, but I saw this before in the past from Howie Roseman. And when he has extreme success or massive amount of national praise going his way, Howie Roseman seems to get a little cocky, a little arrogant. And if you listen to him yesterday, if you catch any of his, interview on the dial, if you watch his appearance on Pat McAfee, I think it was last week or early this week, the smile, the grin, the non-serious, he's, and I'm not saying he can't have fun. I'm not saying I want him to be boring, but I'm getting this overconfident vibe. We've already talked about running back. We've already talked about backup tight end. Somebody asked about linebacker a few seconds ago. I hope he's not smelling his own stuff and doesn't think this team is complete. I don't want him to think because he got Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean that his work is done. I don't want him to think because everyone's saying he won the NFL draft and the NFL offseason that he doesn't have work to do. At different times in his tenure here in Philadelphia, he gets this, maybe it's because he's untouchable in the organization. I just feel like he gets a little too arrogant and too ahead of himself, too overreactionary, too confident. When you're overconfident like that, you set yourself up for a big disappointment. You set your fan base up for big disappointment. I mean, was there much of a difference in the result of the Sixers season and the Eagles season last year? Howie Roseman might have had a great offseason, but Howie Roseman's coming off a dreadful end to a season. So there's got to be some humbleness still in him. But there doesn't seem to be. And to an extent, that bothers me a little bit. And I might be the only one thinking this. I might be the only one that feels this way. But it's how I feel. And I don't know if I'm on the right par with that. I don't know if I'm right in thinking that way. But I love your guys' thoughts on that. Yeah, when Jalen Hunt got the call that he was joining the Eagles, being drafted by the Eagles, he called Howie Roseman Big Pimpin'. And Howie Roseman's playing into that. I don't want him playing into that. I want Howie Roseman being like, we've had a really strong offseason. We are setting ourselves up for success, but we still have work to do. I want him to, enjoy his success, but realize that the job's not done yet. The job is not successful until you win that Super Bowl. The job is not successful until, we rid ourselves of the stench of last year. Smart Don never talks about, I talk about family business all the time. I don't think Morey wants to keep Reed. He just is either at his time. Yeah, I get that. But Morey kind of took his lumps in that presser. He realizes the mistakes he made. He also gave us some tangible content to discuss. Howie Roseman talked about Cooper DeJean yesterday. He talked about Jeremiah Trotter a little bit and Jalen Hunt yesterday on the radio. But all I got from the interview was nothing positive, but just arrogance from him. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. After what Chip did to Howie, I don't blame him. I'm okay with the swagger. Is it swagger or is it arrogance? Is it swagger or is it him feeling that the job's done? There's a difference between swagger and arrogance. And I don't know which one it is. 12 likes is not good enough, guys. 4 on Facebook, 12 on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that like button right now. If you don't hit that like button, Daryl Morey is going to give a max contract to Tobias Harris. I'm just telling you. It's all on you if that happens. The team last year suffered due to how Howie built the team with linebacker and the secondary being super weak. Absolutely. And you know what's so funny? And I'm surprised more Eagles fans aren't ripping him for this. He was asked about having Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Back in the building and drafting him in the 5th round. And he got lucky. He fell there. Well, he could have drafted him sooner, but whatever. And he compared him to T.J. Edwards and having T.J. Edwards on this team 2 years ago. He made a Super Bowl with T.J. Edwards here. But you let T.J. Edwards walk, Howie Roseman, like you wouldn't have had a draft Trotter Jr. If you would have given T.J. Edwards, what was it, a 2-year, $12 million deal he signed with the Bears the last offseason? Like that just, I can't believe him saying, comparing Trot Jr. to T.J. Edwards wasn't picked up on more by fans. And saying, well, you didn't have to draft T.J. Edwards, replacement if you just kept him. Whatever. Anyway, that was something that annoyed me from his press conference massively yesterday. A little thread that just made no sense to me. A real big pimpin' would deliver us multiple Super Bowls. Exactly. You're not big pimpin' on what you do in the offseason. What do I always say? You don't win. The winner of the offseason never wins the Super Bowl. You can't declare yourself the offseason winner. The first day of free agent. Who's the winners and losers? The winners of first day of free agency never win the Super Bowl. So you want to be big pimpin'? Bring us another Super Bowl trophy, Howie. I'll call you big pimpin' every day. Win us another Super Bowl. But the arrogance, is it arrogance or is it swagger? And I lean more towards the arrogance, not the swagger. And Howie has had to try to fix the mistakes in season. So he does pivot. The big golf fantasy term, pivoting. He does pivot mid-season well at times. He has fixed mistakes well mid-season. And if he's too arrogant and he makes no more moves this offseason, he's going to have pivoting to do again this year. I still think we're weak on the defensive line. Well, not weak. The top guys are pretty solid, but depth-wise. There is still room to add depth to this roster. There's still plenty of players on this team that don't need to be on this team. Davey, hard on Big Pimpin'. Yeah. Peanut, be like him. Can't believe a word that comes out of Morey's mouth. For all we know, he trades everyone and starts the process. Look, I will say one more thing about Daryl Morey, and then we'll get back to the Eagles here. Everyone keeps saying, on Daryl Morey, he's got this blank canvas to work with, okay? Because he's got $60+ million in cap space. He's got 5 tradable first-round draft picks. Yeah, all that's true. Blank canvas. But this ain't paint by numbers. This ain't connect the dots. How do we know Daryl Morey didn't fail 3rd grade art class? He ain't painting happy little trees here and let's put a happy little tree over there. How do we know Daryl Morey knows how to paint at all? But yeah, we keep using he's going to take this blank canvas and create this thing. He's never painted anything that's been in the Louvre. The Louvre. It's not like he's painting the Mona Lisa. Not capable of it. Hasn't shown that he's capable of it. But that's all I'll leave. We'll get back to Eagles here. I think we're in trouble at defensive tackle, edge, and linebacker. I'm not expecting a Super Bowl run. David, you're not alone in feeling this. I got my man, George. We DM. He doesn't watch the show with work as much anymore. But he says it. That he thinks he's not as positive as a lot of Eagles fans are right now. Defensive tackle and edge, I think the core pieces, Davis, Milton Williams, Carter, Huff and Sweat, and the core pieces are there. But the rotation that we like to run is not deep enough at this point, in my opinion. A linebacker, you got a lot of question marks. Devin White is better than what we had last year, at least at the start of the year. He's better than Christian Ellis. He's better than Nicholas Morrow. But he isn't the all-pro guy he used to be. Jacoby Dean couldn't stay on the field. And TJ Edwards, or not TJ Edwards, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a rookie. So we do have some issues there. Yeah, we built that secondary up, getting Quinion Mitchell, and Howie did say in his interview that Cooper DeJean was their main target at 22 because they thought there was 0% chance, and he used that. He was 0% chance that Quinion Mitchell was going to fall in their lap there. So Cooper DeJean was that guy. And he said he even debated about taking Cooper DeJean over Quinion Mitchell because that was the guy they were zoned in on. Then he felt that he could trade up in the second round and get him. So that was always in the cards. But you build up that secondary with the front seven. Phil just jealous. Who isn't jealous of Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee makes bazillion dollars doing what I do. Who wouldn't want Pat? I would love big giant studio custom built for me. Billions of dollars in the bank. Go be an announcer part-time for SmackDown. Give me all that shit. Give me it all. I would love it. Love it. Arrogance is the spray that Rick Martel would bring to the ring to win his matches. Was it? I have no idea. I remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name. Maybe David Archeri could talk Howie into appearing on training. Dude, I have called out Howie Roseman many times, positive and negatively, to sit on this screen next to me and talk. I would be as respectful as humanly possible, but I would ask the hard questions. And when he doesn't answer the hard questions, or he dances around the hard questions, I would follow them up. I would actually when he says Trotter is like TJ Edwards, I'd be following that up with, well, you had TJ Edwards in the building. Why didn't you keep him? I would follow up, danced around questions with more questions. Belichick and Reed are big pimping. Yeah, I hate the phrase big pimping. I really do. I'm still perplexed with Sirianni's role now. Is he going to ruin Moore's offensive scheme? Everyone's so confident in Kellen Moore. Sirianni is a delegator. He's a leader. He is now the Mike Tomlin. He's the Dan Campbell. He's the Pete Carroll of this team. He's the guy that's not calling the plays on either side. He's delegating. He's setting the tone. He's getting the players to buy. He is a delegator. And sometimes the delegator style management role in a football team is just fine. And it has worked in other cities before. I don't know if I trust Nick Sirianni being able to back himself off and handle that or not. Like, some people can do it. Some people cannot. Some people can handle that, lesser of a role. I don't know if he can. We are going to find out in due time if he can handle that lesser role. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. I just don't know if he's capable of it or not. But I'm okay with that in theory being the way we do things. Sure. Love to have sponsors on the show. Absolutely. If you guys keep asking for it, might as well. We know he failed in schoolyard training. He was the kid who lost his good snack for what? We know he failed in schoolyard trading. He was the kid who lost his good snack for dried sardines. Sounds funny, but I feel like I'm missing something here. I feel like there's a joke there that I should understand that I'm not getting. First words out of his mouth. Why is there saran wrap? Saran wrap. All right. You know what? You guys don't like the Festivus poll. Tough luck. And why do you have Tommy's fat head covered up? It's not covered up. It's there. It's there. I needed a place back there where it could sit and not put another hole in my wall. I put enough holes in my wall with everything else. So I thought it was a good spot for Tommy right there. The man, the myth, the man that turned around Phillies baseball. When he was signed as a free agent, that was a signal to Major League Baseball that things were different in Philadelphia. And we weren't the same terrible Phillies team that was just going to lose and be an awful baseball team. Tua Tagovailoa to what? Yeah. Tell Howie to stop the what? Yeah, no. Davey Sirianni is head of morale and head cheerleader. I think it's a little. I think that you guys. What guys? You guys. Eagles Nation. That's the part of Eagles Nation that's saying this is downplaying what Nick Sirianni does. I mean, he's still going to be making decisions to go for it or not on fourth down, to punt or not. He's going to make the decisions for field goals or 2 points. He's still going to make all the major decisions, but he's going to trust his people to do their job. Kellen Moore has a job to do. Vic Fangio has a job to do. It's worked perfectly fine in plenty of other cities, this style of coaching, the delegation coaching. It's not common practice anymore. You see it less and less frequently. Most head coaches are the offensive coordinator and call the plays. But more and more you see it this way. Just saying. There's a little bit more to it than head cheerleader, head of morale. And I think people are being too negative towards Nick Sirianni. And again, I was on board with maybe considering the firing of him. He's peeking from behind. Yeah, he's just keeping his head. He's watching down upon us. Nick will be fired by week 6, allegedly. I highly doubt that. Maury who? Maury what? Sirianni can bring in the coffee and donuts and play horse and arm wrestling with the rookies. He's going to shoot hoops. I want to see a video, on a sarcastic note, of Cooper DeJean posterizing tomahawk jamming over Nick Sirianni on the little Nerf court. I want to see that video from training camp. I need that video from training camp. Chris Franklin, Eric Kratz, Martin Frank. If any of you are watching, you need to get video of DeJean going in, tomahawk jam over Nick Sirianni. I need it more than anything. Siri is capo de capo. Yeah, I think that works. That works. He's the boss of the family. Well, no, Jeffrey Lurie's the boss of the family. Howie Roseman is consigliere. Outside of Saquon, are the running backs and run game not counting Hurts going to be an issue? Ryan, you're coming in late to the show. I spent about 20 minutes talking about running backs already. Yeah, I brought up Miles Sanders' name because rumors are he's getting cut from Carolina. And not just Miles Sanders. I mean, there's lots of options. But Miles Sanders being a guy that knows the system to an extent, has backed up Saquon before, can be that fourth guy that gets the bulk of the runs if and when Saquon goes down. Kenny Gainwell was trash-talking the organization. The video surfaced yesterday. I don't know when he said those, bringing up communication issues from upstairs to downstairs. So there's a scenario where we still need, and this brings up why we're talking Howie Roseman, that I think he's too arrogant right now. He's too overreactionary right now about buying what everybody's saying about him winning the offseason so far. You hear him on radio shows and TV shows, and he's all big pimping, like Jalen Hunt calls him. So I don't like that. I want him to stay humble. You stay humble till you win a Super Bowl. Is Hurts a top 10 quarterback going into next season? I think C.J. Stroud has passed him. Jordan Love. I know Stroud. I know my reasoning for Jordan Love not passing him could be said about C.J. Stroud. There's just something about C.J. Stroud that spells special to me. C.J. Stroud passed him. I don't know. I did my power rankings for the NFL, my top 10. I'll have to do a top 10 quarterback list. Maybe I'll do that for next week. If I have time, maybe I'll do it for Friday's show. Top 10 quarterbacks. Stroud's right there with Hurts, in my opinion. Jordan Love might be top 10, right on that outside of that, or like in that 9 to 11 range. I like what I saw from the Packers, so yeah. But I don't know if I could put Jordan Love ahead of Jalen Hurts just yet. Now, he's not top 3, top 2 like I had him last year. He might not be in that category, but I still think Jalen Hurts is a top 5, 6 quarterback right now. I really, truly do. The overreacting to the end of last season has passed. I'm able to look at it objectively. Jalen Hurts was still an MVP candidate through 11 weeks last year. So I still got to say that Jalen Hurts is still a top 5 quarterback in my mind. C.J. Stroud's in that 5, 6 range. Hurts is in that 4 to 6 range. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is one. I'll have to really sit down and think about it. I don't want to give you a quote that I regret, here. He still gets to say, go for it, and calls timeout. Yeah, he's still leading this team, guys. Stroud will have a sophomore slump. Love will do well because he's been sitting and watching so long. Love didn't set the bar as high as Stroud. Stroud set the bar really high. So, yeah, I can see a sophomore slump coming or at least staying level. Love climb throughout the season. Not only was talking about Jordan Love the way they are now, before Thanksgiving. It was that Thanksgiving game. Then he kind of started to climb. So he still got room to climb. He didn't set the ceiling so high. So that's Cap. Stroud is elite. Stroud is got that eliteness to him. Go get a pass defense and cover linebacker. Devin White's not the answer, just so you know. He was an addition, but not in coverage. Devin White is an addition. Devin White, and I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, he was better than Nicholas Morrow and Christian Ellis. So we don't have to see those guys on the field. So that's a win. I wouldn't mind them, a guy that's still a free agent out there. You want more linebacker depth. I would have no problem, since he's still available, for the Eagles to go out and get Zach Cunningham. Because at times last year, well, for most of the year, before he got hurt, Zach Cunningham played pretty solid. Not great football, but solid football. Maybe a reunion with Zach Cunningham on another one-year deal might be worth it. Kenny G spoke forbidden truths. He might have said truthful things, Kenny Gainwell. It doesn't make them right. It doesn't make the timing of them right. It doesn't mean that Howie's not going to be pissed off and move him. I'm not saying he's not, but there is more tape, so the defense will factor out a few of his extra skills. Yeah, I agree with that. Remember when everyone was putting Justin Herbert in the Hall of Fame? Not I. I was not one of them. Hell, if I did a top 10 quarterback list right now, there's a chance Justin Herbert doesn't make it. There's a chance. And if he does, it might be like 10. I'm going to work on it. I'll write it down. Top 10. I'm out of paper. Out of room on that side. Top 10 QBs. We'll get to my power rankings in a second. But I want to reset here. You guys are watching Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. We've now passed 13,200 subscribers. Let's get to 14,000, 15,000 subscribers. Hell, you want me to do 4 hours like Mista said? We better be at 50,000 subscribers if you want that. The likes need to be 100, not 10, 12. Let's work on that. You want 4 hours of Trending in the AM? Let's work on getting 2 hours first, but let's get that subscriber count out. Let's get the likes up. Let's get that super chats. That my tips are linked in the bottom of the show. Guys, let's do that for me. Do that for me, and we can get there. We can. I think I've covered all of our sponsors so far, but I am going to shout out Dolan's Bar. We'll get back to them next week regularly. But Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park, come out. Let them know when you go check them out or go hang out there for Quizzo, music, trivia, whatever. The EOP, Trending in the AM, is where they heard about them. It's an institution in Ridley Park right there, my old stomping grounds. And guys, make sure you're subscribed also, because we got a jam-packed show, 12 o'clock on the Shane page. We got Philly's post-game show, Philly Press Box Radio, starting season 11 tonight. Edge of Philly Sports Live, that's Big Al's show, tonight at 8:30. Guys, you got to be locked in. Got to be locked in. Right back to the comments. I might draft Stroud for my fantasy team. You could do a lot worse than that. That's a great pick, right? Who is this Herbert fellow you are writing about? Sounds like a future Canadian Football League Hall of Famer. Yeah, exactly. Need a starting linebacker who's great in coverage, not a backup or fill-in rotational player. A starter, that is. Well, you're not going to find a starter at this point. Who you got is who you got. You can add depth. But at this point, you're not finding starters out there that are available. Todd, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome all. Trending in the AM, the final 30 minutes of today's episode. Again, stay tuned, because tomorrow, Luke Arcani, Fox the Gambler, will be joining me to talk Phillies for 30 minutes. So we will give a dedicated first 30 minutes to Phillies talk tomorrow. And then we'll see where we go from there. He was my fantasy kryptonite a couple of years ago. Devin White is there to rotate and have vet depth to the young D. He's there to help Jacoby Dean along. He's there to help Jeremiah Trotter Jr. / T.J. Edwards, whatever you want to call him now. Zach Cunningham. He's there as help. You could use one more depth guy. And I don't know. I know they got that Zach Bond guy. Louis Braun, Zach Bond, whatever his name is. Yeah. But I think you could use one more piece there, in my opinion. Chicago's new quarterback is top 10 without even playing a snap in the NFL. No. Can't say that that's true. Stroud had coaches who knew what the heck they were doing. Our coaches ended up looking like deer in headlights. I think, A, Yes. DeMarco Ryan, D'Amico Ryans, their head coach. When he was still a linebacker coach in San Francisco, I was pining for the Eagles to bring him in as DC because I thought he had head coaching ability. I think he was one of my top choices when they hired Nick Sirianni to be the head coach, to be part of his staff. He would have been gone already. But yeah, I knew Ryans was going to be a great coach right from the get-go. Now on the other side, I don't think our coaches looked like a deer in headlights last year. I think that's a little harsh. I think some of the organizational failures just came from some miscommunication, like Kenny Gainwell said. But again, yeah. We got Barbara Carroll saying Hurts isn't a top 10 quarterback. I know this show's title or tagline is "Your opinions matter." Your opinion matters, and you're justified and you're valid in saying this. I disagree. I cannot name 10 quarterbacks that I would take over Jalen Hurts. Outside of the top 10 is extremely questionable. It's a valid opinion. If that's your opinion, great. But I also am going to say that I can't name 10. Maybe I'm homerish saying that I put him in my top 4 or 5. I think it's very realistic to put him 6 to 8. I think outside of the top 10, I think you're either a Hurts hater or you're misguided. That's just my opinion. But your opinion's warranted and valid. Yeah, that's crap. You should never put a rookie quarterback in the top 10 until halfway through the season once you've seen something sight unseen. Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. David Urcherry wants 20K subs. Let's go. That's right. So Devin White plays linebacker, but he's not the type of linebacker you are in need of. They need pass defending coverage guys. I'm not saying. I know exactly what Devin White is, Ryan. I know exactly what he is. He's a better addition than what we had. He is going to be better than what started the season last year. I do not expect Devin White to be an elite Pro Bowl linebacker, all-pro linebacker. I don't. But I expect him to be better than Morrow and Ellis. That's all. And I still think we need another guy, for sure. Just don't think you could find a starter out there. Start to shine when they cater to the offense. I think you're talking about C.J. Stroud, maybe. The Bears are where rookie quarterback careers could have died. Yeah. I don't know how I'm feeling about Caleb Williams anymore. I was down on him. Kind of liked him a little bit. I loved how he gave Gio, the podcaster, some time at the draft. So maybe he's starting to grow on me a little bit. I think a lot of fans forget how young our Eagles D-line really is. They need JBs and Coxes like players to keep the kids on the straight and narrow until their adult brains kick in. Yeah, our defensive line is very young. And losing Fletcher Cox, I think, is a massive loss for the leadership aspect of it. Todd saying this team is going to be great. However, the constant is still here. Nick Sirianni. Well, Nick Sirianni, look, you would think Nick Sirianni in the last 2 years, 3 years, has won like 10 total games. The way Eagles fans talk about him. He literally took us to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. 2 seasons ago, we were NFC champions. Last year, we were 10-1 to start the season. Yes, we had a collapse. Yes, a lot went wrong at the end of the season. But I think a lot of Eagles fans are really writing Nick Sirianni off far too quickly. And I'm not saying I love Nick Sirianni. I'm not saying that Nick Sirianni is the greatest coach in the world or anything like that. I'm just saying short-term memory for Eagles fans on Nick Sirianni. They're not remembering how much we were hyping him after the 2022 season. He had a 7-week bad stretch. 7 weeks of bad stretch does not equal that he's a bad coach at all. My goal is the elimination of all cap. Yeah, is that it? That's because the Bears don't invest in the trenches. You got to invest in the trenches first, then get your franchise quarterback, then get your weapons. You see a team like the Titans yesterday gave a big contract to Tyler Boyd, former Bengals quarterback or wide receiver. Now they got everyone's like, oh, look at that wide receiver room. Boyd, Hopkins, and I forget who the third wide receiver is that they got there. Calvin Ridley. But they got Will Levis as their starting quarterback. Those wide receivers ain't going to cook because of Will Levis. Teams build out the wrong way. Hurts has to learn. All right, so we're getting a definition on why he's not top 10. Hurts has to learn how to read defenses, stop holding onto the ball. Hopefully, Kellen Moore will stop that push thingy and have Hurts concentrate on playing the quarterback position. We have Barkley to run it. All right, so first off, the tush push, the brotherly shove, the butt crack snap, or whatever we called it last year. I would like to see it run less, but I don't think you can eliminate that play, Barbara, from the playbook. It is an extremely effective play, and it gets the job done. Yes, we have Saquon Barkley to take some of that off of him. And yes, he needs to learn to. Every quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes, you can make that argument, needs to do a better job. And you can find flaws in a lot of quarterbacks that you'd probably put above Jalen Hurts in the top 10. You can find a lot of flaws in their game. C.J. Stroud's a rookie, only done it one time. Jordan Love only did it for 6 weeks. Justin Herbert's never won a playoff game. He blew a 30-point playoff loss. People always put him ahead. Josh Allen, what has he ever done? There's a lot of quarterbacks that people rank ahead of Jalen Hurts that have the same question or different question about their game. So again, I dare you to find 10 quarterbacks that are better than Jalen Hurts right now, and I don't think you can. I think the problem with our fan base is the same thing that is generally wrong in the world. We want everything, and we want it now instead of letting people grow and change. I mean, I think that's just a problem in life in general, right? Absolutely, Duck, without a doubt. He had no answers when they asked Sirianni why the collapse. Yeah, I get that. Look, I think Nick Sirianni was questioning himself at the end of the season as well. He was probably questioning why the collapse. He's probably had time to think about it. They've worked. You see how this offseason has played out. They've made drastic changes so that collapse doesn't happen again, Todd. I just don't think that Nick Sirianni, I'm not ready to run Nick Sirianni out of town just yet. Now, the people saying he's going to be gone by week 6, well, if that's the case, you should have fired him already. I don't need a coaching change mid-season when this team is trying to win a Super Bowl. But I don't know if I'm ready to say Sirianni is the biggest problem on this team right now. Laurie was the problem last season. Patricia was all Laurie. Possibly. His fetish with the New England Patriots. Possibly. To be fair, Phil, we watched the whole team quit on Nick. We watched him and his staff go into and out of the bye week with 0 adjustments. Did the team quit on Nick Sirianni? I think that's. I'm gonna write that down because that's something I want to dive. We only got 15 minutes in the show left. So did team quit on Nick Sirianni? I want to write that down because I want to dive deeper into this. And I got to think more about my answer to this. But I don't know if they quit. Maybe they quit on each other. They quit on their coordinators. They quit on everybody. Everybody quit on everybody. The question always is, when the going gets tough, the elite rise. The elite pull it back together. No one pulled it back together. So if you're going to blame Nick, you can blame the leaders on this team, the captains on this team. You can blame the coordinators. You can blame Jeffrey Lurie. You can blame everybody for quitting last season. But the blame's going to just Nick Sirianni? I don't know. A lot of the Eagles players stood up for Nick Sirianni after the season. Not just in front of the press, in comments on social media, on podcast appearance. There were a lot of people sticking up for Nick Sirianni after the season. Just going to throw that out there. Remember that. They weren't pressed to say positive things about Nick Sirianni, but they did. That's why under my administration, we passed comprehensive legislation to come back. Oh, yeah, I got you. Andy isn't Andy. We didn't let him have a few bad seasons. We separated from him at the right time. But people forget was still winning even at the end. Yeah, I mean, we let Andy have down years. Andy was here for what, 14 years? 99 to 13? Something like 14 years. He had ups, he had downs. but there was a constant success of concession of winning throughout a majority of his tenure. I'd rather have Nick Sirianni here for the next 10 years than keep changing coaches, keep that steady philosophy here in the organization. That's what I would want. That's what I would like to see. That would be my thing. By the looks of this offseason, do you think Sirianni has been subdued with the rah-rah mentality? The rah-rah cheerleader mentality? I don't know. I don't think you want, like, obviously, like, everybody's blaming Sirianni and him losing the team at the end of the season. So it was 6-7 bad weeks of Sirianni. But we did have 25 weeks of great Sirianni being the rah-rah guy, the planting flowers guy. So we want him to change? Do we want him to change? I don't know. Maybe he dials it back just a little bit. Maybe it's a slightly bit subdued there, Jose. But I still want a little. That, just like I don't want the tush push to go away. I don't want to take away what makes Jalen Hurts great. I don't want him to stop being a running quarterback. I want him to pass first and then only run when necessary. Sure. You don't want to take away from people what makes them great. If Nick Sirianni's rah-rah mentality makes him great, he just needs to learn to control it a little bit better. That's all. A sandwich ain't a sandwich without Miracle Whip. That's disgusting, Miracle Whip. People forget that Hurts is only in his third season as a starting quarterback. Hurts has gotten us to the playoffs every year he's been a starter. I mean, Duck. Spot on. I mean, yeah, people put Justin Herbert ahead of him constantly. Justin Herbert made the playoffs once. So Justin Herbert gets the excuse, well, his coach stinks or his wide receivers are injured or this or that. Jalen Hurts doesn't lose all the time in the playoffs. He's gotten to a Super Bowl. He's 3 for 3 and getting to the playoffs, yet he's not good enough. Jalen Hurts didn't blow a 30-point playoff lead at halftime. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, to me, I still have 100% of my confidence right now. I don't think this is accurate yet. I think it's borderline accurate, maybe accurate. Maybe by the end of the season, we're saying yes to this. But right now, if I did a top 10, and I'm just spitfiring on my quarterbacks right now, I'd probably have no top. I wouldn't probably have a 6th best quarterback. I'd probably have a tie at 5, Stroud and Hurts. They're neck and neck. Maybe I can't even put Stroud that high. I don't know. I'm going to work on it. Did someone just besmirch the name of the brotherly shove? Barber doesn't like the brotherly shove. I get it. Jacob troll. Who's Jacob trolling now? Because Jacob's just become as bad as the dial. I like your show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Barbara. We do this every single day, 5 days a week, 90 minutes a day, talking all things trending in Philly sports, sometimes nationally. We cover it all. We do it all. And the show's tagline is where your opinion. You listen to the dial. They don't care what you call in and say. They don't care. They don't listen to what you're saying. I listen and I discuss. I don't always agree, but we discuss it. We discuss it logically. We also like the joke. We got a lot of comments here. I want to fire through here because I want to tell a funny pizza shop story here. So in my business, we do a lot of root cause analysis, and it actually takes time to get to that. He needed time to analyze the issue and get fixed. I agree. I think this is a fantastic explanation why what Sirianni would say now versus what he said at the end of the season. I love this. Love that comment right there. They did quit. That's how it's a matter of time. Why is it every criticism of black quarterbacks is they can't read a defense? They never get the benefit of the doubt. It's always just assumed. Well, there's a lot of white quarterbacks, mister, that can't read a defense too. Just so you know. And I think there is still look, I don't always feel comfortable talking serious conversations, but there is still probably a little bit of racism when it comes into the black quarterback in the NFL, for sure. You know, teams want that prototypical quarterback because the quarterback is the face of the franchise, and they want the Justin Herberts of the world or the whatever, as the face of their franchise. I think Jalen Hurts does fine, like good enough to read a defense. He does. Nobody was complaining about Jalen Hurts' defensive reading abilities when he was leading us to the Super Bowl. We also had a shit ton of injuries. This quit narrative is dumb. I don't know if it's a dumb narrative. I think it's an overblown narrative. I think there's a difference between dumb and overblown. I think there was a little bit of quit from some players, but I think the majority of the team didn't quit. Blame safety. We blamed Howie a lot for last season. Everyone backed Nick except our quarterback. We saw the leaders ask for change as well as make public complaints, and our head coach doubled down. So the team quit. I don't know. People are comparing Nick to Chip. Chip actually lost the locker room from rookies to vets. Sirianni might have lost a few players, but I think in general had the locker room even in the end. I do too. I think a majority of the team still had Nick's back at the end of the year. Lazy narratives make sports talk content, but don't add much wisdom. I agree. And I don't mind discussing the lazy narrative. I won't present lazy narratives. We really didn't get into my Howie Roseman narrative of being too overconfident, too arrogant, too cocky at this point. That's what concerns me. I'm more concerned about Howie overshowing his hand than Nick Sirianni losing the team. Yeah, I think between 5 and 7 right now is a fair number. It's a fair number there. Kirk Cousins just can't. Kirk Cousins. I don't even know. I think Kirk Cousins is probably the smartest quarterback in the history of the NFL. And why do I say that, Big Al? He's the smartest quarterback in the history of the NFL because that man is as mediocre of a quarterback talent as there is. And the guy has made over by the time this current contract, just the guarantees is up, he's going to have made over $400 million in his career. Big Al. Dude, tip the cap. I mean, there is nobody smarter than Kirk Cousins or Kirk Cousins' agent. Maybe I'll give the credit to Kirk Cousins' agent. Shout out to Barbara. Barbara, yeah, welcome to the Core 12, Barbara. Welcome to the Core 12. Barbara comments on Dan Sillyman's show. Okay. Well, then I need more from Barbara. I don't watch. You guys actually watch Silio's show? I'm actually embarrassed to know that my Core 12 watches Dan Sillyman's show. It's embarrassing. I try to bring wisdom and great conversation. You guys go and turn that garbage on? Come on now. Hurts reads defense. Stop. Blocked me on Sill's show before Sill's banned me. Wow. We like to keep it friendly here. Don't forget, guys. Let's keep it honest here. Cousins has a ceiling and is at it. The man gets paid for not getting to a Super Bowl. Dude, I want his agent. Sorry, Big Al. Just so you know, I'm hiring Kirk Cousins' agent. Just so you know. I'm more excited about the upcoming season, what happened last season, history for me, new beginnings. Jose. Love it. Love that comment right there. Fitzpatrick earned a ton getting used contract and then playing like garbage. Fitzmagic or Fitzpatrick? You got to say it right. Yes. Yeah, Barbara, we got a core group. We call them the Core 12 here. It's not 12 people. It's just the regulars that join in the conversation every morning here. Supposedly you're part of the Dan Silio family. I do not say kind things about Dan Silio on this show. I'm not a fan of the Silly Man or Chris Simpleton. Just saying. I catch him every once in a while. It's like watching Springer of sports. That's a good comparison. That's right. It is like the Jerry Springer of sports. Smart and stupid sometimes. I like it. Oh, no. I see Maddie B's name in the comments. I don't even know if I want to read this. Train the AM, a.k.a. the Big Green Propaganda Machine. Well, I've been negative, Maddie B. I've been negative plenty. Not today. I spent earlier in the show 20 minutes trying to criticize Howie Roseman. I didn't get any traction from it. People switched over to talking about Nick Sirianni. This is a show of the people. This is the people's show. They want to talk the positives of Nick Sirianni. I want to talk the negatives of Howie Roseman. You're a Howie Roseman negative guy. You should have been part of that conversation. Just saying. Maddie B is tell your story. Yeah. All right, yeah. So I got a pizza shop story. I'm surprised I'm alive right now. I thought a hex was put on me. I thought a curse was put on me. Okay? So we've got at Fox's Pizza, and guys, if you don't know, I've told you all enough. Fox's Pizza, Kennett Square. It's my pizza shop in the Kennett Square area. We sell a pizza. It's a 30-inch, 52-slice pizza. Big, giant party. It's like 5 large pizzas in one box, okay? And this household ordered one, and I had to deliver because the driver couldn't fit it in the back of their car. So I go, and it turned into be a Spanish family. And if you don't know Kennett Square is a very, very huge, strong Spanish population with all the mushroom farms. The Spanish population get the jobs picking the mushrooms at the mushroom farms. So the guy opens the door, and he asks me to come on in with the pizza because it's big, and normally I'll put it on their kitchen table or wherever they want it. And as I walk in to this statue with 10 candles burning around it and 10, I knocked over my mic, 10 people chanting something. I think it was Spanish. I don't know what they were chanting. They were all out with their hands like this, candles burning everywhere. And I had to walk through the middle of their prayer circle, their chanting circle, with the pizza to get to the kitchen. And they didn't stop chanting when I walked in between them. And then I had to leave. And I asked the guy, I'm like, you want me to go out the back door and walk around? No, you can walk right through there. I'm like, So I had to walk through them again. And again, they didn't stop chanting. So I really walked out of there, and I felt like this little tingle down my spine. I'm like, I think they just cursed me. I think they just put a hex on me. I think they were summoning the spirit of Matty B. They were doing something. And it made me feel very, very uncomfortable. All joking aside, walking through, I think it was a prayer circle, whatever. You know, they do their little prayer circles around their statues and whatever. I really, and it was not. I saw this comment. I'll fire through the rest. It was not a statue of Nick Foles. It was a religious statue. They were praying. They were chanting. They were sacrificing something to this statue. I just really thought it was going to be me. I don't know. Just saying. Very, very uncomfortable. While I'm making jokes about it, I won't lie. I felt extremely, extremely uncomfortable walking through that house. Today's hump day. You need to go positive going towards the weekend. Absolutely. Positivity. The power of positivity. Don't be late on pizza delivery. I was not late. I was on time. You got to watch Sills for balance. Everyone gets you high on the Eagles, and he brings you back down. Yeah, look, I see K1. I see a bunch of guys in the comments here. I watch a lot more other shows than I let on. I've always got YouTube up on my screen at work, so I watch a lot. I do watch a lot of Sean Bryce and Sean Bernard, Luca. I watch a lot of Fox the Gambler stuff, mostly in the afternoon, but I do bounce around to the other stuff. I do, because I take their content. It helps. If I'm having hosting a show, it's like a writer. I've got to write a book every single day. So sometimes I get writer's block. So sometimes I got to watch the other shows to kind of give me new spins to come up to discuss or new spins to criticize. Did they tip you? Actually, this is not a knock. The Spanish population are not very good tippers. Just a proven fact. Not sure why. They just don't. Guy gave me like a $15 tip. So I'll take that. They are just praying. I know it's what they're doing, Doc, but it still made me feel immensely uncomfortable having to walk that. Like, if I'm walking through it, you would have thought they would have just stopped for a second and, like, backed out of my way so I get by. Again, a 30-inch pizza I'm standing there with. And I walked through them. Yeah, no. They didn't move an inch. They just kept going like I wasn't there. Hopefully they order again so you can see what happens. Yeah. If there's blood anywhere in that house, I'm going to be worried. If they sacrifice the chicken, I'm going to be very, very worried. Nick needs to put out a St. Nick statue. Yeah. The curse of Matty. I'm calling it the curse of Matty B. 1,000%. We've all been there. You've all been cursed by Matty B. And Serenity. Yeah. Yeah, I would be. I was just weirded out. Like, I'm making jokes about it now, but I was just weirded out. Like, if you're in that prayer circle and somebody's walking in the middle of it with a giant pizza that you're going to eat, maybe just cut the prayer off for 3 seconds so I can walk by, step back so I can get through more comfortable. That's it. Phil, your channel looks nice because it includes all sports. Yeah, we talk. I even do a golf show on Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. Gambling on golf. I'm a big golf guy. Had fantasy writer, 3-time fantasy writer of the year last night, Len Hochberg, on my show. Legend in the fantasy golf community. Barbara still has me blocked, so I can't see her comments. Well, she's actually commenting on the secondary channel, but that's also why. But so that's why. So she's on the trending in the AM page, not the Edge of Philly sports page like you guys are on. You better I better go to Holy Cross and pray. I am going to Drexel Hill, so I am going to be closer to Delaware County. Maybe I'll leave a little early and swing by Stewart Place, Seeking, and go check out the old stomping grounds. Maybe I'll go to North Avenue Field and shoot some hoops tomorrow on Saturday. Now, John McMillan, I will not watch. That makes every Eagles move sound like a root canal. Yeah, honestly, at least the one thing I'll give Dan Sileo is that he makes it entertaining. The morning show that they started after Trending the AM is not, I don't just say the first daily morning show. All the big channels, Jacob, PHLY, All City, all of them copy my morning show. There's smaller content creators that do morning shows now. Copied what I did. I was the first person doing a daily morning show in this area. And I've tried to watch some of the others. They're just not that good. Was it like the Temple of Doom chanting? Well, I don't speak Spanish. No comprende. So I don't know what they were chanting. He makes good points, though. Just rants. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a fair comparison there. Pretty good, but when he is in a mood, it sounds dry when he's talking. That's what I look at it. It would have been hilarious if the statue took the pizza bite. Oh my God. You want to see a man poop himself? That's how a man poops himself. Guys, shoot. We're already almost 2 minutes into overtime, and I haven't started the wrap-up process. Again, guys, you are watching Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. Make sure you hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button. Trying to get to 100 on my personal YouTube page. Trying to get to 15,000 subscribers on the Edge of Philly page. If you're watching on Facebook, follow us there. We're pushing 50,000 followers on Facebook. Let's get there. Make sure you share it out. Tell a friend. Tell one. Tell all. Trending the AM, the #1 sports show in Philadelphia. The first morning show on YouTube in Philadelphia. The only one where your opinions actually matter. And again, Edge of Philly Sports, jam-packed today. On the Shane page, Shane Half, Johnny Page, Jimmy Page, whatever his name is, 12 o'clock. Post-game Phillies Live. Phillies play at 1 o'clock today. Do they win their 8th in a row? Philly Press Box Radio. Season 11 starts tonight. Check Chet out. Chet and the crew out tonight at 7. And Big Al and crew, Edge of Philly Sports Live at 8:30. Guys, we've got to get this show wrapped up. That's right. It is Ring the Bell. It is Ring the Bell. Let's get an 8th win. Let's get Aaron Nolan another W tonight. Let's keep it going. I am entitled to compensation. I am. Guys, with that, it's not just Go Birds. It's Go Birds and Ring the Bell. Yo, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow.